We read our vision statement at our tax hearing just a few moments ago, so we'll move right on. Do we have any audience comments regarding agenda items? Actually, I probably need to scoop this back up, don't I? Okay. All right, so next on our agenda, we are going to pull our minutes out of our consent agenda and do them by themselves for approval because of some confusion we had last meeting around our cyber insurance motion. So at our last meeting, a motion was made to approve the purchase of the cyber liability insurance from Beasley in the amount of $36,135.04. The motion died for lack of a second, and that has been noted as such in the minutes that are being presented. So are there any questions? No? Okay. So I just need a motion to approve the minutes of the August 12th meeting as presented.
I'll make that motion.
All right, we have a motion by Mrs. Burford. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
And a second by Mrs. Brock. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion carries. All right, next we will move on to our consent agenda. So the items in our consent agenda for approval are the Madison Central High School cross-country team trip to Memphis, Tennessee on September 4th, and that same group trip to Cary, North Carolina on October the 2nd, and the Cottle Middle School 7th and 8th grade band trip to Cincinnati on November 28th. Do we have any questions? All right, so I need a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
All right, we have a motion by
Okay.
Mrs. Brock. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
And a second by Mrs. Burford. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. And next we have our action agenda to approve the revised BG1 for Clark Moore. And we have Mr. Woods to talk to us about that real quick.
Good evening.
Hello.
This is actually really good news. This BG1 is we're doing a revision after we had our sale of our bond. So that's really why we're doing this revision. We had a really, really good bond sale. In fact, people buying the bonds paid a premium to us because our rating was so well that we were able to sell smaller chunks of the bonds and not have to take out as much money. And they have to sell them in blocks, and because they're specified blocks, we did have a little bit of extra funds that we had to put into the contingency line in there to make it balance out with KDE. So all this is reconciling after the bond sale, recording our actual fiscal fees and things like that in the BG1.
All right. That's great news.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Anybody have any questions for Mr. Woods? Okay. All right. Could I get a motion to approve the revised BG1 for the Clark Moore Middle School renovation project?
So moved.
All right, we have a motion by Mr. Rutherford. Do we have a second?
Second.
And a second by Mrs. Coyle. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. All right, thank you, Mr. Woods.
Thank you.
And then next on our agenda is to create and ratify a special education position for our pre-ETS program. Do you want to say anything about that? Or?
Yes, so, yeah, that's the pre-employment transition services for our special needs students as they finish up school, as they, for some of them as they approach graduation, and for others, they're with us until they turn 21. But as they age in there, this is an individual that will work with them and as far as trying to build their employment skills and getting them employment services. And then it's beyond that as well, some other training pieces for other special needs students. All of this is a reimbursement piece through Voc Rehab, and so that should cover the cost of this position, but we need it in order to maintain that program.
Perfect. And this person splits between Central and Southern, correct?
We will have them designated as .5 Madison, Southern .5 Madison Central, but I mean, essentially they're going to travel back and forth. They're going to be covering our high school students working with these services, yes.
All right. Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for Dr. Gillen? No? Okay. So I need a motion to create and ratify a half Madison Central High School and a half Madison Southern High School special ed teacher to work with our pre-employment transition services through our community work transition program. All right, we have a motion by Mrs. Coyle. Do we have a second?
Second.
All All right, and a second by Mrs. Brock. All those in favor? Aye. All right, great. Wonderful. Thank you. And then we have, next on our agenda, we need to adopt a resolution relating to quarantine leave. This first one is basically to acknowledge and accept the quarantine leave for 2021-2022 school year as approved by the Kentucky Board of Education. Per 702 KAR 1.191E. Basically, the summary, that's basically the summary of this resolution. So, does anybody have any questions? No? All right. So I need a motion to adopt the resolution relating to quarantine leave per 702 KAR 119.1E as presented.
So moved.
All right, we have a motion by Mr. Rutherford. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
And a second by Mrs. Brock. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, perfect. And then next, we need to adopt a resolution regarding additional emergency quarantine leave days. These are additional emergency quarantine leave that for all of our employees that the board is providing over and above what the state has provided in the previous motion. This will provide an additional 2 emergency days for all of our employees, regardless of their vaccination status. And so I'll read this summary of the resolution. A resolution of the Madison County Board of Education regarding the need for additional emergency leave for employees and granting authority to the superintendent to authorize quarantine leave to those employees who qualify. Do we have any questions regarding the additional days that we're providing? No? Pretty good? Okay. So I need a motion to adopt the resolution relating to additional days of emergency quarantine leave as presented.
So moved.
All right, we have a motion by
Second.
Mrs. Coyle and a second by Mr. Rutherford. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, motion carries. All right, do we have any comments from the board? Okay, I'll just send out thoughts and prayers with our military, and particularly those in Afghanistan, in light of what has happened today. Just keep those people and those families in your prayers. Anybody else?
On a happier note, I say this every year, it is great to see the buses running in and out of the
Yes.
subdivision. So
Absolutely,
it kind of just puts that big smile right back on your face when you see them.
absolutely. All right, anyone else? All right, so I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right, we have a motion by Mrs. Brock. Do we have a second?
Second.
And a second by Mrs. Burford. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion carries, and we are adjourned. Thank you all.